Hello everyone and happy World Ranger Day. I hope you are enjoying our online stream of events today, connecting with inspiring people from around the world to celebrate and recognise the brave men and women on the front lines of rhino conservation. My name is Michaela and I'm the Partnerships Manager at Save the Rhino International. Today I've got the immense pleasure to be talking to Benny, Joyce and Gift, who are joining us from North Luangwa National Park in Zambia, which is home to the only population of black rhinos in the country. In the 1960s, Zambia's black rhino population was the third largest in Africa, but just 2 decades later, rhinos were poached out heavily across the country and eventually declared extinct in Zambia in 1998. Just a few years later, in 2003, black rhinos were given a second chance at North Luangwa National Park. Today, this population of black rhinos is one of the fastest growing on the African continent. And with only around 5,500 black rhinos left in the wild, this program is really crucial to their survival. However, with poaching still continuing to pose a major threat to not only rhinos but other wildlife in the park as well, a dedicated canine unit was established to support the anti-poaching efforts across the park and help combat the illegal wildlife trade in the wider region. I first met Benny and Joyce back in 2018 at a working dog workshop in Johannesburg in South Africa, and Gift a year later at a similar workshop in Nairobi in Kenya. Both of these working dog workshops were organised for the sole purpose of bringing together similar canine units from across the African continent to help share their skills, experience and knowledge in operating dogs in anti-poaching operations. In recent years, dogs have really become a major force in stopping illegal wildlife trafficking of wildlife. With their incredible sense of smells, dogs are able to sniff and track scents after a poaching incident, leading rangers and enforcement authorities to suspect and helping them understand the routes used by poaching gangs. Similarly, dogs are also very skilled at detecting wildlife products, and many are stationed to sniff out the rhino horn at key locations such as airports, park gates or even in organised searches, finding and stopping wildlife traffickers in their tracks. Now I'd love to really bring in Benny, who leads the Canine team at North Luangwa Conservation Project, and Joyce, who is a master dog handler, together with Gift, who is also a handler at North Luangwa. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's so nice to be able to see you again and catch up after a year or 2 years with some of you. So really nice to be able to talk to you. Benny, Joyce and Gift, thanks for joining from North Luangwa. I will start with some questions, but Benny, I know you've been working in North Luangwa for some time. When did you first start working with dogs and what inspired you towards this career?
Oh, me, I started with dogs in 2005. I've been doing it ever since. A lot of it was for the Department of Defense, Iraq, Afghanistan, and started recently with wildlife detection dogs in the end of 2015.
So a long time now. And when did you join the team in North Luangwa? Was that in 2015 as well?
No, it was the end of 2016.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, great. And how have you found leading the unit in North Luangwa? You started it all up, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure, I think, with these guys and girls. We started off with an extremely small team where there was only 5 guys and 2 dogs. So it was an extremely small unit, but highly effective as well. So it's been an absolute pleasure seeing these guys grow in what they do. It's really great.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear. And I know you, Joyce and Gift, joined the team back in 2017 as community scouts. And I wanted to ask what inspired you to join the conservation career and join the Canine team eventually? maybe Gift, do you want to tell us a bit more about what inspired you to join the team in North Luangwa?
What inspired you, Gift? So she's asking what inspired you to become a dog handler. What made you to become a dog handler? A little shy.
Don't worry. What about you, Joyce? Is that something you always wanted to do?
Yes, like when we started, I was attached to investigation. So looking at how they were working with dogs, I had interest in work with dogs. So that's what inspired me. I just saw how those men, they were not ladies at first. So how those men were working with dogs. So I was interested, and then that's how I decided to join.
Oh, that's really interesting, yeah. And what's interesting to hear is what was the recruitment process like? What tasks did you have to complete to get a job in North Luangwa? Do you remember?
Still on me.
Yeah, so I think
maybe Benny can tell us.
We went through a basic field ranger course, and then various other selection courses as well. And then they got attached to Canine for selection, and then I took over from there. And, they passed selection, and then they started working.
Brilliant. And I imagine a lot you learn on the job itself as well. Obviously, you've been working now, Gift and Joyce, for 2-3 years now in North Luangwa. How do you enjoy working with the dog unit, and how does it sort of normal training look like for you?
Gift,
do you want to tell us? Do you enjoy working with dogs now, and what training do you do every day with dogs?
Yeah, we do trainings in 2017 with the dogs, and we're doing very well with the dogs. And I'm very interested in working with the dogs because it really helps us during the operations. Yeah, very much.
Oh, brilliant. And Benny, perhaps you can tell us, what does a sort of normal routine look like? What would a day look like for a canine handler and for you as a leader? What kind of exercises would you do in a day?
So we currently have 6 dogs at the base over here. And then, so what we do in a normal day is training. So guys wake up, they clean the kennels, they do a dog inspection to see if the dogs are in top shape every single day, take temperatures twice a day, and then we start training on vehicles or open areas or tracking or building searches. It's quite a busy day for most of these handlers, which is here. And then, of course, when somebody calls to ask us if we are available for operations, we go out and just do a lot of operations as well.
Imagine it's a busy job. Do you train every day then, or do you have rest days as well?
No, so we have rest days. So we've got a training schedule where some dogs will rest a full day, some of them will rest only half a day. And once a dog comes back from operation, the dog will get the full day off for the next day. So there is a rest day, like us, basically.
Yeah, like anyone needs a bit of rest, yeah. And I wanted to ask, obviously, for people listening and watching from the UK and Europe, dogs are very popular pets, but what is the perception of dogs in Zambia and in the local area where you grew up, Joyce? What do sort of people think of dogs as animals?
Okay. I think when they started, people were not they were not familiar on how the owners were working with dogs. But nowadays, it's important and it's familiar to everyone. They know that dogs, they can work faster than humans, especially when it comes to search. So they have that idea. Say dogs, I think they are important too, especially in looking for wildlife products. They're important.
That's brilliant to hear, yeah. And what's also interesting to hear, perhaps a question for you, Benny, is you often have to make decisions of which dogs to buy and train up. How do you make these decisions, or what qualities do you look for in a dog for such a job, for anti-poaching?
Yeah, so what we look for in a dog is a high drive dog, that wants to chase a ball, and not just to chase a ball, but you want the dog to plan how he will get a toy if you put it on the other side of the fence. You want to see that. And we need a dog as well that's sound, meaning they're not afraid of a lot of people around them, moving vehicles, wild animals. So we do a desensitization with the animals as well, getting them used to wildlife over here, and we take them on runs and walks in here. So yeah, and any dog. Basically, it's not a breed specific dog. We use any dog that has that attributes.
But would different breeds make a difference for different jobs, like detection and tracking? Would you choose different breeds for those two different tasks?
I would say in some cases yes, but in some cases no. So it's I think you'll get some dogs that's like bred for a job, like Belgian Malinois. They are very good in detection. They are very good in tracking. But then again, we've got a pit bull Labrador cross over here that is extremely good in detection. And then we've got a Labrador German Shepherd. She is extremely good in tracking and detection on both sides. So it depends on I think it's like people as well. Depends on the person, or depends on the dog as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, would you be able to explain a bit more for our audience, how can dogs specifically help in anti-poaching and in combating illegal wildlife trade? We've obviously mentioned detection and tracking, but could you tell a bit more about how do you use dogs to support the anti-poaching operations in North Luangwa?
Yeah, sure. So we've got once we've done a operation, or we are busy doing an operation, dogs are immediately put on standby. This is for tracking. So a dog is basically what we use just to get to the poachers quicker. And it depends on how old the spoor is or the sign is. Depends on the heat of the day. So many aspects that you need to consider. Being said as well, we are very effective in detection over here. So where we get a lot of intel from the intelligence units and some from the public. And then we go out and we go hit a couple of targets and then use the dogs. It's a quick in and out, and then we just get the stuff out of the system and arrest a couple of people.
And I know the unit has been doing amazing work in terms of conducting all the detection and combating the illegal wildlife trade in the region. And poaching has gone significantly down, especially with black rhinos being reintroduced and keeping that population safe. Have you noticed any changes in the illegal wildlife trade across the region? Is it intensifying, or is it actually on the decline across the region?
I would say this is a very difficult question for me to answer because I don't have all the stats. But for me, I would say we are stopping everything that we can, and surely it feels like we are winning, but there's still a lot of work to be done still.
Absolutely. And I imagine, obviously, illegal wildlife trade, in its sense, is cutting across the borders, and it sort of involves international collaboration and working with people across different regions. Do you, as a Canine unit, collaborate with other similar units in Zambia and in other countries as well?
Yeah, so we collaborate with Malawi Canine Unit as well. We're just busy setting up we want to start working with Tanzania as well. And then, of course, I'm working with a little bit with Zimbabwe, Gonarizo. But, yeah, and then a lot of it is intelligence work that they use us basically to help locate their targets, which is fantastic. That's
brilliant to hear. And I know, Gift, we met together last year when you travelled out to Kenya to visit the Lewa Wildlife Conservancy and then to attend the Working Dog Workshop in Nairobi in Kenya. How have you found this experience of meeting similar canine handlers like you in different countries in Kenya? How have you enjoyed it, and what have you learned, perhaps?
Yeah, I enjoyed the workshop and I learned a lot by working with the other people in different departments. And it really helps us when you are interrogating the other department to know the activities which is happening outside there.
Yeah, really, yeah. That's good. And Joyce, obviously, I met you the year before in South Africa when you attended a similar workshop. How have you found that workshop and sort of learning more about how different units do training and other activities? What have you learned?
A lot. It's good. When tracking before that workshop, I had no idea to say dogs can even track at night. But during that show, I read a lot, especially on tracking. From there, I knew that dogs can track at night. They can track at any time, depending on weather and vegetation. Even in detection. Yeah.
That's interesting. So is that something that you now do in North Luangwa as well, doing some night tracking as well?
Not yet.
But sometimes it works during night operation. We had a lot of area search.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear. And I guess apart from training, a big part of your job as a handler, I imagine, is obviously making sure that the dogs stay healthy and they stay happy. So how do you make sure that they sort of keep their fitness and their well-being? How do you take care of the dog from that sort of veterinary point of view?
Okay, so what we do is, like I said, so in the morning we do our canine inspections. We've got a vet that comes in to do blood work and everything because we've got tsetse flies over here. So we don't want the dogs to get sleeping sickness. We give them, of course, the annual vaccinations. We give them every 10 weeks samarin injection so they don't contract sleeping sickness. Then we've got evacuation plans in place for the dogs if something bad happens. We've got some of our handlers are a little bit trained in veterinary things that they need to do just to keep the dog alive. If something really bad happens, we can get it to a vet very quickly. So yeah, that's we are just Yeah, because we are so remote, I think a lot of things is difficult over here, but we are managing it.
Yeah, I imagine, because being such a remote unit, even getting that first sort of emergency care for a dog and for a handler if anything happens is quite difficult and takes long hours to get anywhere around that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And has anything changed in terms of sort of providing the veterinary care since the pandemic and the lockdown on travel? Has it been more difficult to access veterinary care and provide that regular support?
Also, so it's only been quarterly. I think we've missed one, but it's not a big issue because we haven't had any of our dogs go into a state of emergency yet. So I will say no, actually not. It's not made things more difficult for us. So we've got all our veterinary equipment and everything else over here. So, and if it needs to be, we will fly a dog out as soon as possible if the dog goes down.
Yeah, so pretty self-sufficient. I guess that's needed being so remote. And I wanted to ask you, Gift, because I know I saw you last year in Kenya working with dogs. You absolutely love dogs, and your face just brights up when you work with a dog. So I wanted to ask, what is your favourite part of your job? What do you like most about working with dogs?
What's your favourite part of the job?
My favorite part of the job was a canine handler. I like very much doing detection with the dog because it really helps me searching during the night. And it helps our job to be more easy. Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. How about you, Joyce? What's your favourite part of being a handler?
My favorite part of being a handler is particularly trainings. Because even if you are upset, you are thinking something bad, but when you are doing training with dogs, you just have to be happy. No matter what you are doing, no matter what you are thinking, you have to be happy. So that part, when you are training with dogs, I think you have to suit what the dog wants from you. So it's a bond between the handler and the dog. So that part, I like that.
No, that sounds amazing. And as you said, the dog can feel what the handler feels. So you do need to be very present in the moment and reward the dog when they do successful detection and all of that. Do you work with a specific dog, or do you work with multiple dogs in your unit as a handler?
Multiple. We don't have specific dogs to say this is my dog, but we work with all of the dogs that they can.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. And how many dogs have you got now? I forgot what you said. Your unit has expanded recently, hasn't it? You've had new dogs coming in.
Yeah, so we've got 6 dogs now at the moment, and then 13.
13 handlers, so brilliant. It's getting bigger every year.
It's good. We expanded a little bit, yeah.
That's good to hear. And I guess, Benny, I know obviously I asked Joyce and Gift about their favourite part of job, but what it's like for you as a sort of leader of the unit, what's most enjoyable for you in the role and being part of the team?
Oh, everything for me is enjoyable. but I think the most enjoyable part for me is training them, teaching the handlers and the dogs, just to see them grow, and then just the satisfaction of them learning something and applying it to the job, and then making something out of their career. That is, for me, I think, the best part.
I imagine it's very fulfilling. And Joyce and Gift, what's Benny like as a trainer? Is he good? Can you say?
Okay. From when we started, he has been good. He's a very good teacher. He's a very good trainer. You can interact with him, whatever you want to hear from him, or even if you have a problem, he's a very good advisor. He can advise you.
That's so good to hear. And obviously, I know Benny is excellent in his job and working with so many people. So that's great to hear. And I guess on a sort of different side, what are the challenges in your job, and what is the hard part in working with dogs in North Luangwa? I don't know, Benny, if you want to start. What sort of challenges do you experience in your job?
From my side, I think we are facing a bit of challenging aspects, maybe terrain-wise, if we have to go out a far distance, especially when it's tracking. Sometimes we can't access, especially in rainy season. But there's other means to everything. It just makes everything a little bit more difficult, but it's still doable. I'd say going out on detection, I think it's not hard. I think it's, if we go out to a village doing detection, we go in, we do our job. Sometimes we face some angry people throwing rocks at us, but we just pack up, leave, come back later type of thing. But yeah, I'd say from my side, I don't think there's much challenges, I would say. We've got amazing grants, we've got amazing people looking after our program, and our project leaders, are quite capable, and they really, really good to the canine unit, and they will advise any time of day or night just to help us out as well. So I don't see a lot of challenges in this situation, really.
That's good to hear. How about you, Gift? What have you found difficult in being a handler? Was it difficult to sort of learn new techniques, or have you found that quite easy?
Yeah, what is difficult mostly in the operation, when you go out, then you find some people refuse to set their houses using the dogs. They refuse. Even on load block, some people, they refuse to set with the dogs. Yeah.
Okay.
And the other challenge, I think, is on tracking. In our area, there's a lot of animals, dangerous animals. Yeah, it's another challenge.
Yeah, I imagine. Obviously, it's very wildlife-rich area, so going out with a dog can be quite risky. Have you had any? Examples when you came across a big animal or dangerous wildlife in an operation or in a training? Could you tell us?
Yeah, so she just laughed because it actually happened to her. So she tracked with the dog in the field area, and the dog veered off track and then ran underneath the elephant, and Gift was behind the dog. So yeah, luckily nothing bad happened, but the elephant charged and Gift just jumped out of the way, and yeah, so it was a bit bad, but not too bad. Nobody got injured. So yeah.
Oh, I guess the risk that comes with the job, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, true.
Oh, how about you, Joyce? Have you come across any dangerous wildlife on your operations and trainings?
Yes. Once. When was that? Where were we going? I think we were with Chris. With
the leopard.
Yes.
Oh, yes. So we track, and the decoy that laid the track went under a couple of marula trees, and excuse me, and he walked for what was it, about 2 kilometers or so, and then we did a track, put the dog on track, and then we tracked, and everything was normal. And as we got close to the decoy, a leopard jumped out of the tree almost on top of the dog and ran off. And the dog went, "No!" And then we immediately thought, okay, put the dog back on track. And luckily, the decoy wasn't too far away from that area. So the dog found the decoy very quickly and got rewarded. So just to get away from that situation.
Oh my God. And how did dogs behave in this situation when they come across new wildlife? And how did they react?
I think some of these dogs, they want to chase most of them, especially if they don't, if they're a little bit alpha, I want to say. Some dogs, they will go, no, not for me. I don't want to see these things. I don't want to work here. I don't want to live here. You know, that's bad, actually. But, yeah, most of these dogs are quite used to the animals now. You know, we get frequent visitors at night, like the elephants. They've been twice in my kennels. And then now and again we get a lion close to the kennels, and the dogs are a bit scared of that. But we've got hyenas walking around here as well. But I think, yeah, just getting used to it, I think, for them.
Yeah,
especially when a dog goes out. If a dog goes out and you come across impala or zebra or whatever animal, and the animal runs away, it's just instinct for the dog to start chasing. So you just have to, like, nope, get to work. Let's leave that thing alone and continue what we're doing.
Continue your job. Yeah, but I guess it's all part of the training and working in such a sort of remote environment in Zambia, where you have all these distractions with wildlife, and you have, in the rain season, high grass. It's all these challenges in working in such an environment. How long does it take for a dog to get used to the new environment, especially if you bring a dog from a different region, from South Africa or from a different country? How long does it take for them to acclimatize to a new environment?
I think if we bring a dog in from South Africa just to get acclimatized with the heat and everything else, it's quite quick, because I don't bring dogs in from extremely cold places. So if it's cold in South Africa, it's cold over here as well. If it's hot in SA, it's hot over here. So the temperatures are quite similar. Getting used to animals, it depends on the dog itself, you know, and how high the drive is to work. Because I firmly believe that a toy is a release from the reward, meaning the reward is the work. And yeah, if they really into their job, I think nothing can distract that dog really from its job. Even if an elephant is standing 2 meters away from the dog will just continue a track, say, for instance, if it's really focused.
So getting that really drive and focus into a dog and reinforcing that behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess on another note, obviously back in April and May, I was meant to travel to Zambia to see your unit and to organise another working dog workshop in Lusaka this time. Sadly, because of the pandemic, it had to be postponed for another time. But Gift and Joyce, I wanted to ask, what would you love to have seen at the next workshop that you will take part in, especially when it's in Zambia? What kind of skills would you like to learn, and what would you like to see at the next workshop?
Next workshop, I think what I would like to see is maybe those who have dogs should just come with one dog so that we can see how their dogs are working.
Yeah. So see other handlers from other countries as well, see how they train and lead a dog.
Yes.
How about you, Gift?
Myself, I just want to see. There's one lecturer who told us last year on how to write a statement. I think that person, you can bring him again so that he will improve on that again. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And I know, obviously, you all three of you were training for London Marathon, and you were meant to come over to London to run and take part in the London Marathon. How does it feel? Obviously, it had to be postponed the whole trip. Are you still training? Are you still running?
No, we are very much running. Yeah, so it's kind of a have to over here. So just to keep motivation up, everybody is not just us running. There's a couple of other guys as well, from our Repu department, our Repu group, the Rhino Elephant Protection Unit. There's a lot of them running. Canine, if they're on duty over here, they're running. Ed and Claire, they are running. People from our workshop, they are running. So it's a whole group. And it's fun. It's really fun. But I must say, it gives us a little bit longer to train for. But let's hope for the best. I think let's hope it opens up and so we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what it's like training in such a remote part of the world. Where do you go for your short and your long runs?
So normally what we do is we run from our airstrip up the road depends on how far we're going. Normal run for us is about 10 kilometers. And then Saturdays we do a longer run.
All right. And I know, Joyce, you've done a big walk yesterday as well. Could you tell us a bit more about that? Oh. Have we lost some signal? Oh, are you back? Lost a bit of a signal.
Strange.
No worries. I was just
like I said, we have a couple of safety vehicles that has to go with us on the runs in the park. And on the longer runs, saying 20 kilometers upwards, I think we do outside the park on different areas. So
still keeping the team motivated, continuing training. And I know, Joyce, you did a big walk yesterday. Could you tell us about that a bit more? What was the walk for?
The walk was good, though you have to walk many kilometers a day. But I enjoyed that. And during the walk, we saw a lot of animals, big five, all of them. We saw that. It was good.
Yeah, I imagine. It was the whole, how many kilometers was that? Do you know how long it was?
The first day we walked 28 kilometers. Then yesterday again we walked 26 kilometers.
Oh, wow. You must be tired.
I think I'm used to that.
You're used to it now, yeah. I imagine. Oh, well, it's been brilliant to talk to you all and have a chance to catch up. Thank you so much for your time today and for sharing more about your job. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing in Zambia. It's so wonderful to have people like you protecting the wildlife and being out there. So thank you so much. yeah, I think that's it from my side.
Yeah, thank you guys as well for everything you guys are doing to all the programs out there as well. So yeah, you guys are doing just as an amazing job. So yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I hope that we can see you soon here in London, or I can travel to Zambia sometime soon. I was quite excited about that. So yeah, hopefully we can we can do that again. Yeah, you'll have to show me all your dogs. Yeah.
No worries.
Cool. I'll let you go now. David will be in touch with details when this will air. Thank you so much for joining us today for our online stream of events. I hope you enjoyed our online session with Benny, Joyce and Gift, and hearing about their experiences operating a dog unit in a remote place in Zambia. I know I certainly found it fascinating. So thank you again for celebrating the World Ranger Day with us. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and please don't hesitate to get in touch with us with any thoughts or comments or questions. We'd always love to hear from you, and thank you so much for your continued support. It's so vital, especially for people on the front lines who we are celebrating today. So thank you.